Hello everyone, welcome to another amazing session of IWCON 2022. Today we have with us Jun Kokatsu, who is a security engineer at Microsoft, and he's going to share his story of the journey from being a bug hunter to a security engineer at Microsoft. I'm sure all of you are going to find a lot of value in this talk, and I'm sure you're excited as well. So please show us your excitement by, showing us love reactions or wow reactions. Yeah, we already have a lot of reactions. See, like people are so excited to attend this talk. I'm so happy to see the enthusiasm. So, people, as always, this is going to be an interactive talk. So, if you have any comments or any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. And if the speaker does any polls, please do participate in them as well. It's going to be really, really fun. If you like something, press the love and send us some love using the reactions icon as well. And don't forget to take screenshots, share on Twitter, tag June, tag all of us. It's going to be a really incredibly value packed session. So excited to attend it. So, June, I'm going to hand over the stage to you. Let's get started.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I will talk about bug hunter to security engineer. Um, Before starting the talk about myself, my name is Jun Kokatsu. I'm security engineer at Microsoft Browser Vulnerability Research Team. And yeah, I'm working from home for 2 years now, but hopefully getting back to office very soon. And today I want to talk about how I went from bug hunter to security engineer and each steps in my journey. And I want you to take back, hopefully, difference between bug hunter and security engineer, and you know, all the details around how I switched, including motivations and stuff like that. So how I got started in bug hunting. Um, Back then, I don't know, 7 years back or something, I was a student, university student in Dubai, and I got married and I had son, and that means going forward, I need a lot of money. So that's when I started thinking about bug hunting. And as a computer science student, I knew something about hacking. Probably if you are you would think like, oh, I know XSS or SQL injection. Basically, what I knew was typing script tag in all inputs and stuff like that. Um, yeah, but then I found out that if you find a security bug in some company, they actually pay a bounty for you. So I started bug hunting in 2015. And in first month, I found two bugs, mostly by luck. One was a Shopify bug, which where I could read random response of other users due to some bug in libxml, and I got $500. And then the second bug was XSS in cybers.com, which is a Japanese company, and I got $1,000. And because I was motivated in money and I saw that huge difference, even though I thought the first bug would be more impactful, the second bug got rewarded more. So I decided to concentrate on the cybers bug bounty program. And in 2015 I was able to earn 15K only from cybers. But when you concentrate on one program, it becomes more harder and harder to find bugs as you find more, right? Because you are the same person and you need a lot more input and stuff like that. So in 2016, I started researching about PDF and browsers, um, in the hope that I can kind of use those quirks to find a bug in web apps, because back in the day there was like XSS filters and XSS auditors and weird behaviors that causes XSS due to browser behavior or PDF, stuff like that. So I was hoping to learn those to get more bugs in the web apps instead of browser. But then in 2016 there was some website called brokenbrowser.com that started. which was created by a person called Manuel, and he started zero-daying Microsoft Edge almost every week. This is like older version of Edge, which we call Edge Legacy. Um, yeah, and this was mostly UXSS, same origin policy bypass, that kind of stuff, which is not a memory corruption, but logical issues. Um, and probably due to this event, Microsoft started paying for same origin policy bypass. And since I was learning browsers back then, I decided to try out Edge Bug Bounty program. Um, and then I earned about 30K in 9 months. And then, so 4 months after starting Edge Bug Bounty, I got an offer from Microsoft. Um, this is probably because there was a lot of zero-day posted in brokenbrowser.com. And by the way, it's still up, so you should read it. Most of the bugs are fixed, but you can learn from there. So takeaway here is that if you are looking for a job, you have to carefully choose bug hunting target. There are some ways to choose those. One of them is find a new trending company or team where they might be missing a talent. Um, so if in the COVID, I would probably try Zoom or Microsoft Teams where there was massive user growth. In those situations, they might be missing security team. And this was also the case for Edge, where they had a lot of people who's working on memory corruption, but they haven't had much in terms of same origin policy or universal XSS kind of talent, which I was doing at the time. And look for company where there is a fire. This is also same for Microsoft at the time. If company is constantly having 0 days, managers or the person who is managing the security wants to find a solution, or at least have someone to take care of that. Which means they probably have position for that. And the third one, which I think is most important, is concentrate on single bug bounty program for a long time, which is probably about 1 year or something like that. Um, there's several reasons here. One is obviously if you concentrate on one program, you will have probably a lot more bugs than normally, and that will get noticed by people who is managing this bug bounty program, and you will be likely get hired. And the second reason is that because you are looking into same thing for a long time, you get to notice more things or much deeper thing than others. So you will gain more knowledge of that product, and that will also increase the likelihood of getting hired because people on the receiving end sees that you have some deep knowledge of the product. Anyways, I joined Microsoft, and I joined some team called Edge Pentest team, which was under Windows Security team. And since Windows Security team was outside of Edge team, I was still kind of external researcher, um, and my job was same. But then instead of reporting to MSRC, now I just report the bug to Edge team directly. And I found many bugs. So I will show you one of the bugs. Um, so in order to understand this bug, you need to know a term called domainless world. This is only a term in old Edge legacy browser. So a domainless world is a behavior in Edge legacy where if Edge loses track of a navigation initiator of data or about blank URL, um, that will have access to all about blank iframe in any origin, which is UXSS. So in this diagram, you can see that if there's a domainless world that you can create, it has access to about blank iframe, for example, in example.com. Then you can actually take reference of parent, which is same origin to the about blank frame. So you have access to example.com. Yeah, so this is a really weird behavior that was there in Edge. And this was found by Manuel that I mentioned in the brokenbrowser.com. And he used Flash redirect to create a domainless world because as Edge has to forget the reference of who actually made the navigation to data URL. Flash was really good component since Flash is outside of HTML, and there's more likelihoodness of Edge losing track of who navigated to data URL. And at that time, I was learning about memory corruption because in Microsoft, a lot of people talk about memory corruption, and I don't. So I was learning many concepts of memory corruption since I joined Microsoft. And I thought, okay, well, how about crashing Edge? What will happen in that case? So Edge had this behavior or feature that if the content process, which is the rendering process, crashes, it tries to reload the same website again after crash with the hope that it will load again and won't crash at this time. But what happens if the page that got crashed was data URL and it gets reloaded? Will they still remember who navigated to that data URL? The answer was no. So I will show you a video. So let's see. This, let me explain a little bit. So this is a twitter.com, and the link is an Explorer link. Clicking that link will navigate to data URL. There will be a button which, if clicked, will cause crash on both data URL frame and the new frame because it's in the same origin and therefore same process. And that will make this data URL domainless world. So this is the data URL. Clicking the link crashes the browser and reload. And now there's a cookie on the Twitter, which is accessed from the data URL frame, and then password if user is saving Twitter password to Edge browser. Yeah, so that was a demo. Yeah, but anyways, I was doing that kind of job in Pentest team. And in 2018, I got pulled in a project called Anaheim, which is a Chromium Edge. And our Pentest team moved to Windows security team, from Windows security team to Edge team, because there was bigger, like Edge team was getting bigger, and they wanted to have in product security team, and we became browser vulnerability research team. What we do is, on top of bug finding, we also do things like security reviews or security improvements. So you can think of our team as Chrome security team plus Project Zero. Yeah. So what does security review look like? So let's see. Let's assume that I'm a security engineer and a person is building something called Chrome colon what's new. Actually, this page exists in Chrome, so we'll take a look. If I were a security engineer of the review, what it looks like. So yeah, if you have Chrome, you can access this page. There's a page called What's New in Chrome, and it looks like that page has iframe pointing to google.com, and you can see that there's a message listener on Chrome page. And this Chrome page, or Chrome Web UI we call, is somewhat privileged because, for example, it can access camera or mic without user consent. And also browser can expose private API to this page because these are considered like browser internal pages. So this is considered privileged page, and they are listening message probably from google.com. And yeah, there's that you can see that in the style, iframe actually has full height and full width, which means whatever rendered in this page is all controlled by google.com, um, which is supposed to be like, from user point of view, it looks like it's a Chrome page, but actually whatever rendered in this page is google.com. So what are the potential attack surfaces in this feature? As a security engineer, you need to know what kind of attacks might be possible here, and list down what could be the attack vectors. So here I listed some of them. XSS in what's new page is probably bad because, as I explained, it might have access to camera without consent. And there might be unintended EOP, which is because they might be exposing private API. If we pass random argument to there, that might cause some weird behavior, things like, browser process memory corruption, or, opening a file URL if they are providing some API that can open a special URL in new tab or something like that. And third one is spoofing. As you saw that google.com has control over whole viewport, that might be spoofing vector, where if you have control over google.com, you can have, let's say, form or Google login page, or I don't know, something like that, where it looks like Chrome. So in order to reach there on those possible vulnerabilities, what are the attack vectors? Well, of course, XSS on google.com can potentially cause all of these, because there is a post message where listener is listening to those. And if there is no origin validation from in the post message, other origin might be able to do that as well. And also for the spoofing, since iframe controls whole viewport, it doesn't have to be google.com. If you can navigate the iframe to other page, that page will also control whole viewport. And for those attack vectors, there's additional attack vector where extension might be able to do all of those. And here, what's important is that knowing all these risks, you also need to know what are really important risks that we have to address versus what are not. For example, if web extension has access to google.com, obviously they can navigate the google.com iframe, but then it has already a somewhat powerful power. Like, let's say user goes to google.com, and then web extension can show a login screen that might look, already, legit, and user might fall for it. So there are risks that you have to consider. What is actual risk? In this case, probably XSS on what's new and unintended EOP is the biggest risk that definitely looks need to be addressed. So what are the mitigation for those things? For XSS on both Google and what's new, obviously CSP and trusted types is the best thing that you can do, which can be validated in client side. Um, and for spoofing, Chrome what's new can set frame source so that only Google specific page can be rendered in this page. And for EOP, we can do call review, fuzzing, static analysis, and stuff like that. And for post message, obviously you can do origin validation, but the what's new page can also set cross origin opener policy so that other origin cannot get Windows reference to this window. And for web extension, we could, from the browser side, say that, hey, if google.com is rendered or iframed in Chrome page, uh, let's block extension access. But this is not enough if you want to completely solve this problem, because extension has, let's say the user open google.com in normal tab, and there is this Chrome what's new page that's opened. Google.com probably share same storage, which means, cookie and stuff like that. And those pages are also in same process. So it's still, there is still attack surface, depends on how much attack or bugs um, attacker has. So this is how it looks like in security review, or if you become security engineers, you have to not only think about what can be potential bugs, probably that's something that you also do as well, but then you have to also think about mitigations. So I want to quickly, share what I felt when I'm changing from bug hunter to pentester in the beginning. Obviously the biggest change is bug is not um, it's not equal to reward. In bug hunting, um, y- if you find a valid bug, you will see there is a reward for each bug, right? But then in Pentester, it's not in that way. Like, let's say you find 100 of bugs, you won't get a reward 10 times more who found from colleague who found 10 bugs, right? So the reward is not related to bugs anymore. And what's more important is that visibility, that what you did, and the exploitability of bugs. So the more bugs are exploitable, the more better in terms of your reward. And therefore, you have to be explaining why your bug is important to fix. And second thing is, as a bug hunter, if you report a bug, usually on the other end, who you are communicating with is a security engineer or some engineer that is making a fix. But when you become pen tester, you will be, talking to someone who might not be familiar with your area, right? So could be skip manager or some manager's manager, right? So in that case, you have to be explaining. Um, so you could see that on my POC of UXSS, I actually show that I can steal password of Twitter and stuff like that. That's really important than just showing alerts saying, hey, I have access to this origin. Because sometimes people cannot, imagine what can you do with that, right? So it's much more important to explain those things to non-technical people. So work is really mostly the same in pen testing, but you have to be able to explain it to non-technical people as well and present it in a way that it shows impact of the bug in order to get a reward. So that was the difference. Um, and then from pen tester to security engineer, as you saw that, in bug hunter, if you like xss, you can do xss all day and you don't have to touch anything else. But when you become security engineer, you have to know all possible attacks, and you also have to know what are the mitigation of those. So that's probably a big change. So even if you are not comfortable with memory corruption, if your product has that kind of bug, you have to be at least familiar with that so that you can make a recommendation that, hey, you have to fix this, or you shouldn't be making this architecture, and more about designing a feature and stuff like that. And you will be working more with developer, because let's say, for reviewing a new feature, developer has set of requirements that they want to do, and sometimes there is a conflict between security and those requirements. So you have to find a balance between those requirements and security, and really have good relationship with developer is core to this thing, because you are in the same team, right, with developer if you are a security engineer. So yeah, this really matters a lot. um, and yeah, finding common security issues and providing solution. I think common security issues is something that you can do in bug hunting. For example, you find one bug class and you can apply that to many websites. But then as a security engineer, you have to find those and provide solution to those so that you can close those bug class. um, Again, this can be mitigation, security features, or just code improvements, but you should be constantly finding those and solving those so that product is getting securer and securer. Yeah, so ability to find bugs still matters in security engineering, but yeah, improving code and eliminating bugs matters more than that, because you can find bugs more and more and it could reappear. But then if once you have a proper solution to it, you don't see that happening again and again. So that's really important in terms of product security. In terms of changes in motivation, um, yeah, initially I was motivated in money. That's why I started bug hunting. But I also liked security because if I only like money, I would be doing some other business and stuff like that. But I was really interested in security, so that's why bug bounty was really best fit for me, I think. And then, but once I started security job, the number of bugs did not matter much. Severity and how impactful the bug is important. So even if you find the low severity bug, if you can chain it to make a big impact, that's really good. So those impact really matters. And the reward ratio to the bug number is not as much, especially in security engineering. And yeah, because of that, my motivation was shifted more towards solving security problem, because that's where you will get more impact into doing things. And if you are one of those people where you like those, you might be good at that. Yeah, so conclusion, I think if you are thinking to change the role, or if you're trying to apply or looking for a job in security, you have to know your interest and passion. Yeah, so why do you work on security, or why do you like security, right? If you like bug finding process, you know, let's say even if you are not paid for it, you might be doing bug hunting just because you like finding process of the bug, or you like kind of thing where you're like solving puzzle to trigger a bug or something like that. If you like CTF and stuff like that, then you are probably best fit for bug hunter or pentester. But then you like the reward portion, and you like security, or you like solving problem, and you can adjust those things of bug finding process, then you might be interested in security engineering as well. And I do feel like security engineer is kind of missing. I see a lot of bug hunters, but there are less security engineers, probably because they learn security engineering after joining the company and not before joining company. So how could security industry change this situation? Yeah, as I mentioned, there is already a place to learn pen testing or bug hunting, things like bug bounty program or CDF. But how can we create similar places for people to learn security engineering? I think we need to create incentives for people to learn security engineering if we want to, similar to what we did in bug hunting. There was proper incentive for people to find bugs, and I saw people growing. So we probably need something like patch reward program, which Google does. So what patch reward program is um, if so in Google's case, they have set up open source program, and if you fix security bug in those program, or if you make a security improvement, they will pay reward for you. um, I think this is a good program, but I don't think it needs to be open source software, right? So if a company, for example, wants to do similar thing, they could do NDA, where if you're a hacker and then you report a bug, and you could ask if you're interested in fixing this bug, then they could share source code for those portion of the code with the NDA, and you can fix it. Just send a patch link, patch file for the patch. And since all most of the software works in Git, that should work. And that way, bug hunters get to learn also fixing the bug and security engineering portion of the job, so that they have experience beforehand, and hopefully that kind of thing can be shared, that he worked on the fix. And that way, if people are interested in security engineering or solving security problem, they can actually start before joining company. Um, yeah, I think that's it for this talk. I will see if there's any questions. Sorry, I just went through, and yeah. So let me know if there's any question. Yeah, so Pentester is a red teamer and security engineer is a purple teamer. Yeah, I think so. I I haven't been in the red team, so I can't say much. I think security engineer is a blue team. I would say. But what we do in Microsoft browser vulnerability research is kind of like both, because we do bug finding as well as fixing side as well. So yeah, I think our team is kind of little special in that sense. Um, yeah. How does beginner start with browser security? Yeah, good question. So how I started browser security is, so there's no clear way of learning what is browser bug versus what is historical backward compatibility. Like for example, you can open a cross origin window and have access to that window, right? And you can change the location of the window. Like you can do window to open and get window reference and w the location, window location or href of that window to navigate. Again, this seems like same origin policy violation, but it's not, right? So you need to know all those stuff that and understand, okay, what's actually same origin policy bypass versus what's not. So what I did was that when I find those behaviors, I would report to Chrome or Firefox, and or I will read about past bugs to see if there's a similar bugs. And that way, you learn that, okay, what's actual bug and what's not. And over time, like I've done this, for a year at least, you will start to notice that, okay, this is actually a bug versus this is not. So that's how I would start, or I started. um if I start security engineer job, how should I learn from now? um yeah, I think doing bug hunting is good, but as I mentioned, you can try doing Google patch rewards. They do you know pay for security improvements or fixing bugs. That can be one thing. But really, I think doing bug hunting is good enough. If you're, doing something for reward, then I think bug hunting is main concept of knowing the risk. But solving those issues is a different thing where you really need to know in security engineering. So yes, if you can start patch rewards, I think that might be a good thing. Yeah, but I don't think there's much you can do on security engineering learning with reward. But if you don't need reward, I think you can contribute to open source software and make things really, secure, more secure and stuff like that. I do that in my day job as well. Um, yeah, I think looks like that's it. Yep. Um, I think. Wait a moment. The what do you think about fuzzing? And people were doing fuzzing in local package. Yeah, I think fuzzing is good. Especially I see only a few people doing fuzzing in things like XSS, or you know mutation based XSS. I think those might be interesting project to work on. Fuzzing has been mostly for memory corruption people, but now I start to see a lot of people doing for different stuff. I think fuzzing can be applied to many things if you are good enough. Um, so yeah, I would recommend doing fuzzing if you are interested in that. But don't go in normal path. Like if you know fuzzing and main concept, I would recommend doing new thing where people have not done fuzzing. Things like finding XSS or mutation based XSS or sanitizer bypass, stuff like that. Um, yeah, I want to do that if I have time, but I don't. Yeah, I will hopefully share resource. Maybe, yeah, slide at least, I guess. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's it for my talk. Thank you very much all for listening.
Thank you so much for the amazing talk, June. It was really, really enlightening. I'm sure so many people found it useful. You can see by the reactions going on uh, at the screen. Thank you, people, for being an amazing audience. If you like the talk, don't forget to share on Twitter, tag June, tag InfoSec.com. It's going to be uh, really amazing. So yeah, that's all for this session. We have one last session left for IWCon 2022. So please go ahead and check it out, and I will see you all in the next session. Bye, people.